guys are listening to Tech TV podcasting series. In our show, we bring you the best in technologies, innovation, startups, fintech, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and the latest and the greatest in technology worldwide. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. You guys are watching Tech TV podcast, listening to our podcast system here. And today we have a great friend, a guest that we interviewed before, and we met a while back when he was doing some other projects that's going to tell us a little bit more about that. And we have Leandro Margulis. How are you, Leandro?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Edwin?
I'm doing phenomenal. Where are you at today? I know you're in San Francisco, but like you have some family in Florida?
Yeah, so I am in San Francisco, but I'm originally from Argentina, and when I first moved to the U.S. about like over 20 years ago, I moved to the capital city of South America, Miami, Florida, and my parents and some extended family are still there. But I've been in the San Francisco Bay Area for over 15 years now, working in a variety of startups in different stages of growth, as well as doing some investment and helping other companies grow.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to start with that, because entrepreneurs here at the incubator and the startup places that we have, they face multiple challenges. One of those challenges being the main design for the pitch. So they design the pitch, they make it look great. They want an investor to put some money on them. What is that you're looking for, let's say, in your experience as part of, I know you're 3 different ventures already, like maybe tell us about what they do, what's their focus on, and let's start there. What's LJM Ventures?
Okay, I can tell a little bit about LJM Ventures, but then I want to take a step back and try to hopefully give some perspective to your audience as well. So LJM Ventures is basically just a vehicle by which I can either angel invest in companies or advise other companies. J Ventures is an actual VC fund that I am an LP at. That we are over 300 LPs. LP stands for limited partner, right? And we all put a little bit of money. It's already in Fund 3, investing in a variety of different ventures and across different industries in early stage. And people want us on their cap table, right? Being as part of their investors because of both the expertise that the LPs have and the Rolodexes. So we can help in both ways. But let me take a step back. Because I'm both an operator and an investor, right? I mean, in terms of like being part of a management team and actually building companies as well as investing. So, look, I came to the Bay Area with like a vision about what I wanted to do, and let me try to explain it because I think it may be helpful for your audience. Have you heard of the term PayPal Mafia?
I heard that before. Yes, tell the audience what is that precisely.
So what is a PayPal Mafia, right? I mean, and there's people in the PayPal Mafia that are in all extremes of the political spectrum. But who are some of the founders and early stage employees at PayPal? People like Elon Musk and people like Reid Hoffman, right? And people like Peter Thiel.
They
did very well with PayPal. And then with their fortunes, they invested in each other's projects and they elevated themselves and everybody else around it, right? So once again, they're both operators and investors, right?
Okay.
And so at whatever level I can, I would like to create my own version of the PayPal Mafia, right?
I got it.
And that's a little bit how I've been like living my life and living my story here in the Valley, right? It's been like, working at different startups in different stages of growth, including my own. As well as getting involved in an advising capacity or consulting capacity with other startups, where my expertise can be leveraged, right? And trying to invest and educate and elevate everybody around me. Hopefully that elevates myself as well.
No, that's great. That's great. Having a model like that. But like J Ventures, where you're an LP, what do they look for right now? What's the main target audience for the investments?
Well, specifically right now, it's on Fund 3, and different funds have different perspectives. So Fund 3 is more focused on anything that has to do with Israel-developed technologies. It can be like the founders can be in Israel, they can be in the US, but that one is specifically related to that. But other funds in the past were more focused on different things. Now, the criteria for investment, which I think could be helpful and important for your audience, is the checks are usually between 300K to a million to have money for follow-on investment, and it's either like it's early stage, right? I mean, seed, Series A, and it's a follower fund, means it's not the lead investor. Usually you have to find the lead investor that puts most of the money and sets up the terms, and then other people follow, right? And complete your cap table. They complete your round.
Right.
So J Ventures tends to be a follower, not a lead.
But how about you then? Like when they say like if we can send you a pitch directly to you as
So basically, specifically for J Ventures, I get involved both. I can bring deal flow if I feel like whatever the pitch deck I get, it's a fit. I
okay.
can submit it for consideration. And I do get involved in due diligence. I'm not an active partner. I'm an LP, right? I mean, I'm not
Right.
actively
Right.
operating the fund. So I send it to the people that operate the fund, and then I get involved in due diligence based on my expertise as well, depending on when it makes sense.
Got it. Got it. But what do you suggest those entrepreneurs send in their investment pitches to the Valley investors
Basically,
to
my
find?
suggestion is for people to do their homework, not just like have a blank slate about just send it to investors. Basically, people need to look at and need to explain to the investor why their idea actually fits. They need to put themselves, they have to have empathy for the investor and put themselves in the shoes of the investor and look, this kind of investor invests with this criteria. If you're talking about typical VCs, like, I mean, the idea needs to have a potential market of billions for investors to invest. That's one thing. If not, if you have a couple, if your market cap is smaller, there may be a different kind of investment that you need for what you're doing. But it has to have the potential to be a home run, right? In that sense. Now, if that is the case, then you need to look, well, what are the investors that actually invest in that area and have that expertise? And then in addition to that, it's like, okay, they've already made these investments. Like, will investing in you be competitive with the current investment that they have? Or so you can do this homework, right? I mean, you can go into
Yeah,
the
of course. Yeah.
investor's website and understand the portfolio of companies and everything, and understand who are the partners from the investment fund that were involved. And then, hey, and then you reach out to them and you say like, hey, I believe this is a good investment for you because it will fit in your portfolio in this way, and so on and so forth, right? So
Got
it's basically doing your homework, and yeah, you will get rejected like 80% of the time, if not more. So you need to do that homework, and you need to have hundreds of people to reach out to.
basically the same market analysis you do for your product. You have to do it for the investor. You have to do the market analysis, what they're into, what's their gaps they could have in their business plan that you could fit with your startup or
Correct.
your idea, and that comes back to your education, because obviously you're there now because you hit the jackpot on the lotto last week. But you come from an engineering degree, you have an MBA from Yale University, you have a business in education as well as an engineering education. What do you suggest to those that have those skills or trying to get those skills have can do uh, to basically augment their chances to get their startup somewhere?
Look, things are changing with the advent of AI, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's very important to have before it was always, hey, you need both a technical co-founder. I think that you still need a technical co-founder, but I think the profile of the technical co-founder can be slightly different than before. I think that we can leverage a lot of AI tools to build early prototypes that
Right.
before we didn't have.
Right.
So my suggestion is also to try to take your project farther than before, leveraging AI before you go to an investor, so you can have something to show, not just a slide deck.
Right.
Yeah,
So basically, in today's AI world, you're suggesting or get more than basically the whole idea to get money for an MVP is kind of gone right now, because of with AI. I think you kind of spend 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, like, and you get something a little bit more functional than before.
yeah. I think basically, like, as you very well said, I come from an engineering background, right? I mean, I'm all about the scientific method. I think that regardless of how you tell your story with an MVP or with a slide deck, you need to have your story right. And I think that, like, one of the ways that I would look at it is like, look, you have a hypothesis for something. You have a hypothesis that this product can fulfill this need, and that you have a hypothesis that it's a big market. so you have experiments to prove your hypothesis, right? So I would suggest, like, the way you tell your story is like, look, this is what I believe, and this is the experiment that I'm running to try this. These are the early signals that I got that prove my hypothesis, and
Okay.
these are the experiments that I'm planning to run after, and I need the funding for these experiments.
That's great. I love your analogy. Actually, I'm gonna use that if you let me do that. But that's like
Of
I
course.
love that. I think it's amazing. But that comes back to when you were head of product. I think it's like because you know that these ideas that people have in a startup sometimes they succeed and they will turn into a real company like Proof Identity. I think that's one of the ones that you were involved. Tell us a bit about that transition from a startup to corporate and how did that happen?
Yeah, so basically, like, how I ended up into at Proof. So I ended up at Proof. I was VP of product at Proof for 4 years, but I got into Proof through the acquisition of the startup I was with called Unify ID.
Right.
So Unify ID was a motion-based behavioral biometrics company. It was a company that basically leveraged the sensors on your phone. We we all we all move, walk, and behave in a unique way, and that can be used to authenticate you in a passive way or in a frictionless way. And these little devices have a accelerometer, gyroscope, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, a lot of signals that their values change throughout the day based on which Wi-Fi connections, which Wi-Fi networks are connected, with Bluetooth devices you're connected, the way you hold the phone, the way you walk, and you can leverage AI and ML to create a model that you can authenticate against.
So
That's what that was.
that was
We
your
were
hypothesis, and then prove you're right.
Yeah,
In a
exactly.
way.
So basically, we had some early beta customers. We were 20 people, right? The CEO and I were externally facing, and we have 18 engineers working on the core product. We raised between seed and Series A 23 million. Seed was led by Andreessen Horowitz, and Series A was led by NEA. And we were about to raise Series B, and Proof was going to be potentially an investor, and they ended up acquiring us, right? We did some in a way throughout that story. We have proven certain hypotheses. We have designed other experiments that we funded to try, and other companies found it, interestingly enough, that they acquired us, they acquired the technology, and so on. So
And it was a part of your invention. Do you have anything to do with anything you invented before with Unity
I
ID?
I do have I do have patents under my name and inventions, but not for that. That was
Okay.
somebody else's technology. I was more on the go-to-market part for that. But in terms of yes, I do have patents under my name, and I'm very proud of that. I'm in addition to being a Yale MBA and a business person, I'm an engineer. I'm a builder, and I love that I have that part of me as well, and it's been always fun. Um, so one of my patents is for. Are you familiar with RFID?
Yes, RFID stuff. Yes, correct. Yes.
Yeah. So
Tell us a little bit
I
more let's start with RFID, like a little bit of what it is and then what your patent does.
Yeah, so RFID is like it stands for radio frequency identification, and I was working on IoT stuff, Internet of Things, before it was called IoT, right? So we're talking like 15 years ago. I was working on making an RFID tag very durable for tracking high value assets outdoors and in harsh environments. I have a patent for ruggedizing a tag.
Okay.
Uh, so that's more on the engineering side and hardware, not on the software side, right? Um, and then I got a chance to, like, later on, like, I work in, that was my own startup, right? And then I learned a lot of stuff, and that was sold, and I still kept the patent, so I get a little royalty out of that, even though it doesn't help to pay for much in the expensive Bay Area. But it was a great learning experience.
Okay.
Um, but then it was very interesting to I got a chance to patent more things around search. I was working with at a company called Quixie. It was the search engine for apps. We raised for that company between Series B and D. We raised $150 million, led by SoftBank and Alibaba. We grew from like 50 people to over 450 in 2.5 years, and then the assets of the company got bought by some of the assets got bought by Samsung, including the patent that I had, like, later on. So I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do in that through that experience. But yeah, one of my patents there was about identifying gaps in search results. Thinking with an entrepreneurial mindset, when people are searching for apps, you could look at what apps what searches are not returning good enough results, and that gives you opportunities for apps that you could create, right?
Nice, nice. That's very clever, and actually brings the fact that your engineering background and your business background combined and giving you a better good overview of what to do and what not to do next. So in that regard, where do you see after you left the corporate world? I don't. Do you see yourself going back with a new venture, or you're still just going to be a part of board of directors? What do you see yourself into the future?
Honestly, I see both. I'm advising other companies and I'm enjoying it, but I'm also an engineer. I'm a builder, and I want to build something as well. I got a chance to work in a variety of different startups, including my own. I'm at a point in my career that I have no problem having a smaller chunk of a bigger thing. I want to work with the right group of people that we elevate and challenge each other. Uh, so I am looking for a leadership role within a growing startup, and that's probably what I'm going to do for a full-time thing. While I'm also advise other companies, of course, without conflict of interest. But I see myself, on both an operator role and an investor advising role.
Let me ask you one thing that is kind of personal because number one, I'm Honduran too, so I come from countries where people do not understand. I think people Americans still don't understand what that really means. But um, having that mindset when you see Argentina and how people use a lot of ingenuity to solve problems. Do you believe that that ingenuity that came with you, you brought to the United States, and that help you achieve everything you achieve? You have a very long resume, a lot of successful stories. We don't have time to go over all that in a podcast, but do you see any connection between the way you were raised in Argentina, your education there, coming to America, and then going to the Valley?
Absolutely. I do think that, one of the things that I learned was resilience, right? And ingenuity, as you very well put, right? And I think those are values, and it helps you be creative in the kind of ideas and solutions you come up with, right? So I'm very thankful. I'm very proud of my background, and I think it has helped me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. Now I
Oh.
have no idea where I would be otherwise, but
Well,
uh,
it's a very difficult hypothesis to prove. but
absolutely,
but one last thing
absolutely.
for our listeners and viewers, you have your own family. I think from the last time we spoke, I don't know if you were married then, but tell us about your family and how's that a structure. But how do you balance family, startups, and
Honestly, it's a struggle, right? I mean, and it's different than before. So yeah, I'm a proud father of two young daughters at the moment, right? One is 2.5, the other one is 2 months. So
wow,
not sleeping much at the moment.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. So yeah, excited for the opportunities ahead. But yes, on one hand, like my schedule looks very different than the typical networking events that I would have gone in the Valley are not something that I can work on my schedule with, having to pick up uh, my daughter from school and so on. So, things do look different. You become very efficient, very effective to do everything you want to do with little time, a lot of planning, a lot of logistics. And a lot more ideas for entrepreneurial products and solutions for a different kind of demographic, right? So yeah.
No, I have my friend. We interviewed Web Knudson here. He also became a father, and his new venture is actually Play Pair. So then here you go. One more idea. Maybe you're. I'm pretty sure you have something in your mind right now that maybe perhaps we can share later. But thanks again, Leonardo. Like I'm very happy to see you progress. I think when we met, like 2021, I guess you were still in many of those things were evolving slowly, but now I think I see that you evolve a lot better than you were before. So I'm very happy to see your success. And basically, one thing is that maybe we catch up in another year or 2 years to see where you are. And of course, if you have a good idea, glad to share here. This house, mi casa is tu casa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invitation. And if I can be helpful to your audience, just let me know.
All right, guys. So contact him over this link over here and see if you can get your homework done before that. and make sure you have a very, very thorough plan for him to review or share with the ventures that he's associated with as an LP. Thanks again, Leo. Have a great afternoon.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. This show is brought to you by Eagle Eye Communications from Coral Springs, Florida.